Hello everyone, Diabetes the Second here, and I have for you today some post-game commentary of a practice seed for Week 4 of Winter League 2024. Goal here is, as an experienced runner of Dragon Warrior Randomizer, to provide a little bit of insight, thoughts as to how I might approach some of these non-standard flags, give some explanations, and hopefully help you along in preparation. Again, asterisk with all of this, my decisions, my thought processes may not be the most optimal, they may not always be correct, and frankly they may be also catered only to my playstyle, so everything with a grain of salt, as usual. We do have the auto tracker enabled down there on the bottom. I did not have access to this visually while playing the seed, but I thought it's good for both analysis and for viewing purposes, so there it is available to you. Week 4, the vanilla Beanboozled flag set, so lots and lots of tri-stated things which we'll talk about as we see them and they come up. Most notably, we've got the vanilla map, random stats consistent, which may or may not come into play, fast tech, speed hacks, and very fast XP. So this one will go quite quickly with the fast text on. Doing a quick pirouette, we're going to save with the king, since we do have gold. We saw that we have desert tiles outside, which means on the vanilla map we've rolled into one of two spots, either the tablet spot or Hawksness. It is the tablet spot, which is a little bit more favorable to porting that gold to, hopefully, an adjacent town. We've got the Tanthagel Brecconary duo, and then we've got the Garenham spot that are all both nearby. Alright, it's not Brecconary, but it is Garenham. Got vanilla shops here, so Tri-State Summer Sale is one of the flags. That rolls per instance as opposed to per seed, so we're able to pick up a cheap hand axe chainmail, about as good as we could possibly hope for, honestly. Dump the rest of our cash into herbs, and a dragon scale, and hopefully be on our way. We'll check the cave next door and go from there. Alright, the cave is the Tablet Cave. One of the tri-state options is the expanded chest pool. It looked vanilla walking out of the throne room, but just a quick double check, there was no chest in the expanded chest pool spot there in the northeast of Tablet 1, so it was already extremely unlikely that the expanded chest pool was on, and two more chest locations, being the way they should be, pretty much confirms that that is not enabled in this seed. So identifying your tri-states and what position they've rolled into, very important. Some are very self-explanatory and are very obvious when you encounter them. Some are a little bit more subtle and may require teasing out. Some really impact the seed and the way you might approach it. Others have almost no impact at all, or are very niche scenario things. Right. Something that seems to have rolled on, random monster XP and gold. So because of that, the make random stats consistent does roll into play, so these are still vanilla enemies in the stat sense, but they're not giving us vanilla rewards. But the rewards are scaled to how difficult the monsters are within a certain range. So we're seeing much better rewards and returns from our Slime Red, Slime, and Drakey, and we probably will see slightly worse returns from our Magidrakey and Scorpion, and then again it'll just be a little bit of plus and minus throughout. Broadsword for 830, pretty much everything else that we would be looking to upgrade. Full price. We already spent our cash on keys, so we don't have enough to actually buy keys and rims. That's a bit unfortunate. That said, it's quite nearby. We shouldn't have that much difficulty grinding up, I wouldn't think. Got a hand axe, a pretty decent strength pool. So another tri-state thing that is on in this flag set is the vanilla spells. And we weren't sure, not all seeds start with spells. We didn't have any when we started. We learned heal at level 3 and hurt at level 4, so pretty good indicator of that. It appears that we have vanilla zones based on the very small amount that we've seen so far. Only red slimes and slimes in Zone 0 with Tanthagil. And then seeing the nearby ghost drakeys and such. Seems to make sense. Really haven't seen any abilities yet from anything, which does lend itself to the idea that that tri-state has rolled off, so no random monster abilities. We didn't see the red slimes casting Perkmore or anything. Making the trek down to the mountain cave spot. A little aggressive with the exploration so far. Agility is quite bad, so really probably not something I should be doing. We find the town of Hawksness, and if you've been paying attention to the tri-states I've mentioned so far, you should know or recognize that what I'm doing right now is a futile effort and a mistake. So I've already determined that enemy zones appear to have rolled to the vanilla side, which means Hawksness is going to be vanilla Hawksness zones, and it means that the spike tiles are going to roll vanilla monsters on them as well. So checking either Hawksness for the zone or the spike tile for the Axe Knight are both mistakes. I already should know that. I didn't recognize it in the moment. It's a lot of information to pull in all at once, particularly with fast text and speed hacks, and as somebody who struggles with that already and plays a lot of standard where I take that for granted, yeah. It's a lot. That said, we did grind up enough that we picked up enough cash to buy 2 keys post-death, so we're going to go ahead and do that. We'll see if we parlay that into checks in Rim. We do have 1 check for 2 keys here. We also have Tanthagil. We've got Garenham nearby too, so a couple of options that are better than others. Sorry about the slight lag there with the Lewis script running in the background. That does crop up every once in a while. So among the tri-stated things, we've talked about some of them already. The expanded chest pool, repellent dungeons, random spell learning, random monster abilities, whether the death necklace is active for its randomizer bonuses, random monster zones, random monster rewards from battle, scared, scaled medals, short charlock, summer sale, and treasure guards. We've already talked about a few of them. We'll talk about some of the rest as they come up in the run. Opting to go to Garenham as opposed to Tanthagil. Not really sure why. I guess we also get a cave check here too. Nothing of significance there in the back of Garenham. And the cave is Swamp. Choosing to go through, again, this is the vanilla enemy set here, so walking through really shouldn't be a problem. Now I remember there's no reason to check the spike tile, because that's definitely a green dragon. And we end up at the rainbow drop spot. Another reason why early exploration like this is typically not great, particularly coming to the second continent. Every location is a little bit further away, and that's why the vanilla map itself is a little bit on the challenging side. One thing to factor in is that, again, since the map is so large, since everything is designed to be specifically far away, the most efficiency that you can get with checking things, not taking deaths far from home, ordering your, turn-ins and checks and things in a semi-efficient manner is only going to help. Got coal at the rim spot, and there's a big whopping nothing on the search tile. Demon Knight dodges once, still take it out. Again, tons of attack power here. High strength. Certainly we had probably more likelihood to kill it than run away from it at just 26 agility. Even more strength and HP. I guess it is a strength and HP build, right? That's how that works. Agility and MP, abysmally low, even for level 8. Final spot on the second continent is another town. We know it's a healing town, so even though we're almost out of resources, we should be good to go. Decent enemies here. The Druid Lord, part of only one zone, so this is going to be that bottom grave zone. So thinking Spectre, Druid Lord, Wraith Knight, Droll Magi, Wolf Lord, so it is a good zone to potentially grind in. Find Cantlin, take the opportunity to fill up on keys. Note that since we have vanilla shops here, we didn't need to check any additional shops, particularly when we went to coal. We do see that neither the Flame Sword nor the Silver Shield are discounted in any way. So good idea to check that when I popped in. Nothing else to do here on the second continent, so we'll heal up just enough to check for coordinates that don't exist. And then take the death refill, go back home. Got full keys. Check the treasury, check the basement. Aha! A gold band. So there's a Tri-State Treasure Guard. Is it going to be a quest item or a piece of Erdrick's gear? And it is the sword, as if we needed any more attack power. Notice that hasn't updated yet on the tracker because the game actually doesn't update your stats as soon as you equip something. So that'll happen either after we encounter a new enemy, we check our status screen, or we take a death. Back to the king. In the basement, we've got Vanilla Stone's Cave. No vanilla stones, though, it's just a torch. We are off and running. Gonna check the rim chest that appears real quick. And it's a cursed belt. So, with the knowledge that there are no coordinates in Cantlin and coal was empty, that cursed belt tells us that there is indeed something in Hawksness. And that something is guarded by an X-Knight with sleep. So probably vanilla enemy abilities. As I'm navigating in exploration here, probably going to check the spots on the eastern half of the first continent, running through the Tri-State and how they may impact, how to recognize what's going on. The expanded chest pool, relatively self-explanatory. If you walk outside of the throne room and there's the 4 chests in the appropriate orientation, there's a very, very high likelihood that we do have vanilla chests. It's certainly not impossible for them to have rolled in exactly that order in the expanded pool, but it's very unlikely. So you might want to do one more check to be double sure, but usually that's enough. Man. Who knew this area right by the start was going to be so difficult? So the random monster zones, again, usually fairly self-explanatory. If we see only slime and red slime outside, if we see zones 1 and 2 also only have slime, red slime plus Drakey, and then plus Drakey Ghost. Pretty self-explanatory. We can really leverage that information as we explore the map. We can really quickly identify what zone we're in enemy-wise. We know if it's one that we want to stay in, if it's one we want to avoid, if it's a good place to grind, potentially. And because this is the vanilla map, we also know where the zone boundaries are, if you're familiar with it, or happen to have a map pulled up. So we can really leverage and take advantage of that information, both in the exploration and in the potential grinding phase. Right, Swamp North is the Rainbow Drop Cave. We don't have any of the quest items. There's nothing we can do there yet. Tri-State Repel in Dungeons. Doesn't necessarily have the hugest impact on a seed. It's fairly easy to figure out if you have it active or not, as cast repel in a dungeon, and if you repel something, or don't repel something that you should, well, then it's probably not on. Potentially can make something like a grave dive a little bit slower, so may incentivize slightly doing other checks first as we find the death necklace on the top floor. We'll talk about that in a moment. But probably most importantly impacts the Sharlock dive. It's a long dive through. It disincentivizes, if it's off, a little bit of the impact of the Silver Shield. One of the benefits that we really get from it with decent agility seeds is repelling at least the bottom few enemies, if not just the Wizard, the Star Wyvern, the Werewolf, and the Green Dragon. So speaking about the Death Necklace, that is tri-stated here, so as you know in Randomizer there's a benefit to utilizing the Death Necklace beyond just cursing you, which of course isn't a benefit. Granting plus 10 attack power at the cost of 25% max HP. Because that's tri-stated, it's a 50-50 shot whether or not that is actually a thing that works. Now because in vanilla it's a 1 in 32 chance to spawn in, surprisingly, the mountain cave which we've just entered in the 5th chest, if that flag is off, it reverts back to that from what we are typically used to in standard, where it always rolls into the chest the first time. So with that said, that means there is a 1 in 32 chance that even if the flag rolls off, you might still find the Death Necklace, and it won't actually do anything for you. So there is a little bit of risk. Again, it's a small risk, but it is indeed a risk. That if you put the Death Necklace on, assuming it's going to give you what you need, it actually won't. But by the same token, if you were to find a chest that has 100 to 127 gold in it, you know that that was the Death Necklace chest, and that it has rolled off. If you want to check, it's a simple matter of saving at the king, putting it on, checking your stats, seeing if it impacted them or not, as we find the Stones of Sunlight, our first quest item. And then resetting. Easy to do after a death refill. Alright, there's the fighter's ring. Unfortunately, no outside. Gonna go ahead and test the fairy water / repel theory here. Do we get encounters? 40 defense, we should be repelling everything here. So far, it appears that it is indeed active. Next on the list is your random, tri-state random spell learning. Obviously we've identified pretty quickly here, if we're learning things in order at the appropriate vanilla levels, vanilla spells is what we're dealing with. Probably the most impactful thing is we know that we're not going to learn an early heal more, hurt more, and in particular, we're not going to be ever at a go mode until level 17, so that can play in a lot of different ways. We know that we're going to have to get to at least level 17 to win, so we can grind confidently early without fear of overgrinding as we head back into the grave to do what looks like a grave dive. Dig out those bottom 2 chests. We still need the armor, the harp, the token. Not a ton of checks left. We're already on this side of the map, so it seems to make sense to do here. Again, trying to minimize how much we're having to walk on this expansive vanilla map. Well, that's a nice find. Does mean that the grave dive was required. Erdrick's armor in tow. And decent enough enemies down here. It seems they haven't all rolled great in terms of rewards. Metal Scorpion's down a little bit, Spectre's down a little bit. There's all the agility we've been missing the whole seed. Agility has popped up nicely as well. We are almost seemingly good to go on strength, agility, HP at this point. A little bit low there. We still need some MP, and of course, we're not going to get heal more till level 17, so at least 6 more levels are in our future. Final chest, the vanilla harp spot is the token, so both of the bottom chests were required. We don't have outside, unfortunately. That does not come until level 12. So looking for a death refill, it looks like. Fortunately, everything in here is defense broken with the find of the Erdrick's token, sorry, with the Erdrick's armor. And with the vanilla abilities, nothing in here has anything scary. So that's something else to factor in. Not necessarily for a death warp here, but if you know the vanilla enemies well enough, you know which ones have the potential to be nasty and which ones don't. So you can really leverage that information once again to decide whether or not something is worth fighting, is dangerous and should be run from, etc. It does mean that this death refill is going to take a little bit. Hurt is now reduced in damage, physical attacks are quite weak. But I think overall this is more efficient than walking all the way back out. Also gives us the opportunity, since we did pick up the 2 bottom chests, leverage the single chest of gold that we found here in the Tangential Treasury, do our gold grind in anticipation of a silver shield pickup. Even if we didn't, large shield is available in Rim, which is right next door practically, so if we were only going for that, we certainly could. At this stage, we could go directly to Catlin and pick it up. I don't think that's an unreasonable thing to do. Ugh, sorry about the lag. We do know that the zone right outside of the town is a fairly lucrative one considering our current stats and build. We also know that the spike tile in Hawksness now has to be covering the harp, since we have already determined that something is there based on the cursed belt and lack of items elsewhere. And we know that it's going to be a sleepy Axe Knight. So this is a little bit on the risky side, looks like I'm heading in that direction right now. We do have Stop Spell to combat the sleep from the Axe Knight. We certainly have plenty of attack power. It's really going to be a matter of if 92 HP, 70 defense, and we'll be able to take it out fast enough. We have a ton of attack power, so it really shouldn't be too difficult. We just need to make sure that we get that stop spell off right away, and hopefully get 1 turn of sleep for safety. Star River being annoying with the vanilla heal more spell, but no problem. Oh boy, stop spell missed. Thanks, game. And it missed again. Fortunately not getting punished with too long of sleeps here. Now an ambush. There it is, finally. And we get the 1 turn of sleep that we needed to really ensure that we're going to be safe here taking out the Axe Knight. We could have just tried to fight through it. In retrospect, it seems like that would have worked. Pick up the harp, which is the final quest item, and now we just need to do our turn-ins, grind, and go. Now we haven't found the Staff Cave turn-in yet, so that's either going to be at the Hawksnest spot or at the Cantland spot. Hopefully it's Hawksnest, so we don't have to go as far. Breckonair will be at the other. Alright, well, indeed it is a cave, so this is going to be the turn-in for the staff, so Breckonair, it's been nice knowing ya, we're not going there. No reason to. Nope, level 12, don't have return yet. Recognizing this zone and important recognition there of the Gold Man as actually being a pretty decent grind enemy. Because we have random monster XP and gold tri-stated to on in this set. Because make random stats consistent is also active, since it's in that mid-range, it's going to give quite a bit of reward for where it is. It'll give us almost 100 XP per kill. The other enemies haven't rolled particularly well, so I don't think it's worth continuing to stick around, but it did give us the opportunity to learn return and make a quick trip back home. Stop in at Garenham. Top up real quick. I think on the way in realized, wait a minute, I'm not quite done yet, but this might be my last excursion on the Prime Continent. I may be able to grind the rest of the way on the second continent in preparation for Sharlock. Let's go ahead and get our Rainbow Job first. Go back into Garenham and through the Swamp Cave. We could even grind on the Green Dragon on the way through, exit out, and either heal in Garenham again, or go to the second continent and do so in Cantland or Cole. And levels are going to come in general fast and furious with the very fast XP curve. Looking forward to the additional tri-states we have now. Already talked about the random monster zones and monster XP and gold rewards and all that, so we'll have to see what the Green Dragon gives us. I think I've actually fought one, I just don't remember what it gave, to see if that's going to be a good and viable grind tile. But with the random monster zones, we do know that Sharlock can be particularly a little bit nasty in combination with the vanilla abilities of enemies. So we know that our Armored Knights are going to be casting Heal more, we know that the Red Dragons are going to be casting Sleep, and they are both going to be located in the bottom zone of Sharlock. But also tri-stated is Short Sharlock. So we have to factor that in a little bit when we do our calculations to determine whether or not we're ready to go. Obviously, in this case, with the vanilla spells, we're going to at least level 17, but if, let's say, level 17 is borderline, or if that tri-state, or, if the tri-state vanilla spells was not on, and we had Heal More already, we may factor in a short Sharlock dive as being part of what we need to figure out. Can we do a short Sharlock dive and make it to the Dragon Lord and win, but are we going to be feeling risky about a full dive, given our stats? So we can go in and check if we want to. I think in general it's probably not warranted, but it's at least something to keep in mind that if it's a borderline level, it may be worth just going and checking. Because the levels are stacked fairly close together, if you've got good defense, you might be able to dive and grind your way through if you're really concerned. Alright, we managed to keep our gold despite some grinding, some sleepy Axe Knight encounters. Get that silver shield, looks like headed back down to the swamp cave. The best enemies on the walk here, it might have been a little bit faster to cast Return and go through Garenham. Not sure if I still have one more fairy water in the inventory. If I do, it would probably have been worthwhile to go ahead and utilize it here. But regardless, we're making the walk back down. We know the enemy zone that's right here to the west of Rainbow Drop Cave is not too bad. It's not great. But at least they're quick one-shots. We got really high defense here for the Green Dragon. We're probably two-shotting more than not. And their defense broken. The Fire Breath attack has reduced damage from Erdrick's armor. So we probably can grind here all the way to 17 without stopping to heal. I don't really see a reason why we wouldn't be able to do that. Green Dragon unfortunately rolled down just 107 XP per kill, which is not ideal. So that could play into a different choice being better, but, I mean, with reliable encounters, these are almost assuredly a two-shot. The Green Dragon can't do anything meaningful to us. It'd be pretty tough to beat. Alright, very rapidly approaching Death Necklace HP. We still got 2 levels to go, so even though right at current, it would probably be a little bit on the borderline side. Obviously only 5 to 10 damage on attacks currently, but we're hoping with 2 more levels, a little bit of extra attack power should make it fairly free. 10 heal mores in our pocket once we learn heal more at level 17. If we were to throw the Death Necklace on, going up to 131, 7 to 15, 11 on average, we'd need about 14 to 15 attacks to win. We wouldn't need a ton more, so we're most likely expecting we won't even need to chance the Death Necklace. Another thing to consider here, I'm pretty sure I don't do it. Again, this was recorded about a week ago. But you could consider a dive and grind for the remaining levels. 94 defense, so we're defense breaking a lot of enemies in Charlock. We know what enemies have abilities, so we're not going to expect or see any unexpected Sleep Dragon Lord Breath shenanigans or anything of that nature. We know the Green Dragons have rolled down on their XP roll, but we don't know really much about the rest. And we might be put into a position right away where at level 17, we hit it on the way through and immediately we're ready to go. However, we don't have heal more, so if we ever get into trouble, we don't have that to fall back on. We also run the risk of not actually having the stats necessary to win, particularly if we have a big MP boost at level 17 or 18 or whatever it is. Looking at what the stats look like right now, though, even without the Death Necklace, even if we went right now with only the MP in our pockets, I think we would probably stand a pretty good chance with whatever level 17 gives us, so we probably could. Worst comes to worst, we throw the Death Necklace on and it doesn't do anything, and it doesn't really make a difference. We are going back up to Catlin to top off, so we could always pick up Fairy Water if we choose to take in with us. But the level comes so quickly that how much efficiency gain are we really getting by trying to dive and grind, unless we were going at like level 14 or 15 and fighting everything along the way. Really trying to avoid having to cast heal a bunch because we are about to hit level 17. Alrighty, stats look to be plenty good. Death Necklace HP if I choose to risk that. And there's no real downside, it's just a waste of a turn, either pre-Dragonlord 1 fight or in Dragonlord 1 fight. But otherwise, 128 attack power, 7 to 14, 10.5. 15-ish attacks to win. 13 heal mores. Plenty of room for doubles at 140. So really, looks to be a fairly safe chance to win. And we have rolled full Charlock. That would be something else to factor in as well if you're intending to do a dive and grind. If there's if there's nowhere to dive and it's just the bottom floor, you probably don't want to be trying to fight sleepy red dragons and heal more armored knights for your terminal dive. So it is a little bit of a risk to go in here if you don't know, and most likely you probably won't. But that is something to factor in. Also keep in mind that because this is vanilla map, your spike tile is actually outside of Catlin as opposed to on the bottom floor here, so you won't have the option to fight whatever's there, in this case with the vanilla monsters, the golem. So there is the possibility that would have been a good grind as well, so it's something else to consider or factor in. You don't know what the golem is rolled, but if you know the way it works with the make stats consistent and everything, we know that the golem is almost assuredly going to roll down on experience points because of where it is on the enemy table. So probably not going to be the grind of choice with this combination of flags. Repel really putting in the work there in the top couple of zones. I'll go ahead and cast Repel again. The only thing that I'm going to repel here is going to be the wizards, so it really probably doesn't matter. I've got the extra MP, so sure. But it really doesn't matter all that much. Alrighty, bottom floor. Quite a fast seed. I do expect this to probably, on average, be one of the faster, or if not fastest, flag sets. Of course, it depends on how certain tri-state things roll and whether or not things in Chaos roll good or bad. Apparently I was wrong about the spike tile, so never mind. Must be thinking of the vanilla-ish super speed run that we do. So apologies for that misinformation. Gonna go with the pre-game death necklace. We are short a little bit on the max HP. It does indeed go down pre-fight, so it is active. So our attack power up to 138, 9 to 19 on the range, so really this should be a completely free fight, even though it was expected to be already. No miss menus, please. And there we go, easy peasy Dragon Lord, 4 heal mores to go. And yeah, reflecting, it doesn't make a lot of sense. If Tanthajor rolled on the Golem, or in the Cantland spot, you wouldn't be able to exit the town or do anything. So my mistake there. So there you go, no hurt mores. Not surprising. Pretty unlikely we get it if we roll vanilla spells. Unless you really need level 19. 4105. So overall, I think this went fairly well. A little bit aggressive in the exploration early. It made sense to look for one of the adjacent towns since we had a gold chest to start. So no problem there, but beyond that, at like level 6, 7, etc., really trying to explore the world, probably not what I would choose to do again in retrospect. It worked out for the most part, except for that segment where I died very quickly to a demon knight and a wizard in quick succession. But I also know the vanilla map, so I know that I could avoid that zone if I just had walked around it. Other than that, I think it went fairly well. Order of operations, again, also fairly decent. Minimizing the amount of walking on the overworld, didn't take any unnecessary or silly deaths far away and have to rewalk a ton of land. So really, the flag set mostly boils down to minimizing the walk on that vanilla map, recognizing and taking advantage of the tri-state information that you're being handed, and making good decisions based on that. And yeah, overall, I think this is my favorite flag set because I do like the vanilla game a lot. Maybe it will be yours too, maybe you'll hate it because it's too vanilla, but regardless, hopefully you enjoyed the run today. Again, the asterisk that this was my playstyle, my playthrough, and my approach, my thoughts on things. Not all the information I provide is correct, clearly, since we talked about the Golem spike tile. But it's the way that I generally approach these non-standard flags as an experienced runner of DWR. Hopefully you learned a little bit of something from this. Hopefully it was useful. If not, that's okay too. But we're going to go ahead and let the credits finish out, the stats play through, and we will see you again for Week 5.